Hello, everyone. Just wanted to touch base with you with what's going on here at JMC Ministries. A lot of things are happening in regards to Miranda's health. There'll be several more updates in the next coming weeks and months on the direction of what's happening with her. As for me, still working as a contractor, still applying for different jobs, still doing different things like that. And things have been hectic. I'm now probably, I'd say this month, I'm not having as many popping in my neck, in my back stuff like I was there in August and September and October. Things seem to be, for me, stress is down. I seem to be a lot more better off than where I was from those couple of months. So taking off from doing the show and taking off from doing a lot more ministry was something we had to do because Miranda's health took a toll for the worse, and I was just not able to deal with all the extra work and everything going on. So I had to make a transition, a drastic transition, if I should say. So we are still posting news blogs, we're still posting news articles, we're still even working on like mini shows like this one. As you see, it's coming up on the Christmas season, and I wanted to touch base and talk to you about multiple things. Some things are going to be about health. Some things are going to be about just life in general. I know here in Ohio we're having a lot of wintry weather mix, which causes you to not be able to go much of anywhere. Or it could be like Miranda with your health. You're not able to function like you normally would. And what do you do? In those cases, what do you do? Well, it's quite simple. You start working on different kinds of ministry projects, such as reading like the 5 love languages for the military edition, because Brandon wanted to understand more about who I was as a veteran. So we started doing this together. Another thing that we've been working on, I don't know if it's offhand close to me. I think Miranda might be able to hand it to me or something. There's a few things that she's going to hand me. I'm going to get it ready so you can view it. But that wasn't a bookmark, was it, Miranda? No? Okay. We've been reading several different devotions to continue to be a sponge in our lives, because like I said, normally throughout the week someone is assisting Miranda with her health in one way or another, and then on the weekend I just stay here and take care of her. This is another devotional that we're doing. It's an older one. I did this one back in the day. Who is this King of Glory? And the list goes on and on of a couple other things. We're also working on the Billy Graham I Hope America, and we're getting prepared to send that out to some other ministers to be able to get stuff. So what happens when you're in our situation, or someone gets sick, someone transitions from school to college or something else? What do you do when there's a drastic change in your life? A car accident, and it actually hurts to sit up because your neck is in pain from being jarred all over the place or whatever. What do you do? What do you do in these situations? Well, quite simply, the key term is to rest. And not many people in our society know how to slow down. They don't know how to not necessarily take a break, because that's normally the drasticness that people will do. They'll go from going 90 miles an hour to just not doing anything at all. That's not always what needs to be applied. And in our case, what we had to do is we had to find different ways to still do ministry in spite of what was happening because of the limited availability of the weekend. Now the weekends are starting to open up for us again, and there'll be a lot more material out. So what do you do in the meantime? One of the things Miranda was talking about, she was talking about prayer. And I'm not just talking about learning how to pray for yourself. This kind of message goes into more detail on what Christ wants to do in your lives. When you get to a certain point in your Christian walk, you should already know, the 5 to 7 stages of praying, like, asking for forgiveness for yourself, thanking God for what He's done for you, asking for your needs, asking for someone else's needs. It gets to a point where you're getting to that 4th step when you start talking about someone else. If you're a mature Christian, many times That's one of the biggest things that we as Christians do, is we get focused on me and what I need, and we stop thinking about, well, God's going to supply all our needs, like it talks about in Philippians, and it talks about in Proverbs. We don't get to those points. We get to these points where people are just focused on themselves. And it makes sense. It's a human reaction. When something drastic occurs, you're thinking about yourself. You want to make the plans. You want to be prepared. And I completely understand that. But there's also a point where if you want God to move in a situation, you have to be able to admit that you are powerless to completely change that situation in a supernatural way. That doesn't mean that physically you can't say the right words, get the extra sleep, eat the right food, do the exercise, study this, say that, change these different things. This is about getting to the point of actually walking in a faith-like movement in your life. And when it comes to the different moments, you have to be able to get to a point where it says, God, I cannot do this. But again, when we go back to this flesh thing, when we say that I cannot do this, typically people just stop and quit. They're like, I'm done. I can't do anymore. I'm done. And in the light of what Christ wants to do, He wants to transform your life and mine when we admit these places that we can't move anymore. That doesn't mean it's an impasse and we're not supposed to do anything. In some cases, as I posted on our Facebook page and on my personal one, it means that God has a different direction for your life. And this normally happens for those that are older, like 30 years older than me, will understand this message more than a 30-year-old, unless they are mature in their walk with Christ to translate this properly. There's different phases in your lives, and you get to the point where you're not supposed to stop learning. But I also see some people stop learning because they get to the point where they want to start training and they forget to become what's known as being a sponge, and they don't want to absorb information anymore. It's a continuous walk with Christ. It's a continuous learning from different situations. And again, it goes back to knowing what Christ wants you to do. And it's quite simply look at the surroundings of what's happening at that moment and say, okay, God, I'm going to step out on faith and keep walking down this path with you, and trust you're going to take care of my wife in spite of this illness, in spite of these problems. I don't have the availability to do as much ministry because I'm gone 12 to 16 hours of a day, depending on what's happening, sometimes 5 to 6 days a week. So what do? Again, it goes back to prayer. It goes back to walking out, talking to the different people, and just trying to become all, as Paul talks about in Corinthians, some become all things to all people so that some might be saved. And that really means simply using all your gifts and talents for the Lord. We had somebody at a ministry event come up to me and say, I don't understand what your ministry is about. I don't get it. And the answer that I gave was using all my talents for the Lord. Whether it's a computer job that I'm doing, a communications job that I'm doing, a speaking event, I'm picking up trash, I'm cleaning the toilet, I'm sweeping the floor, I'm driving, I'm picking people up, I'm being someone there to listen to a conversation. Everything that we do is supposed to be a form of worship. And if you notice today, I posted our JMC Bites, which is worship. And that goes side by side with this whole message. Everything that we do should be glorifying the Lord. Everything that we say, everything that we see, and everything that we listen to should be glorifying the Lord. And we're in a position now today where majority of the things that come to us and around us takes us away from God, and it puts us blinders on our eyes and our ears. And whatever we put in our ears, whatever we put in our eyes, comes out our mouth, and it goes in our brain. We keep storing all this useless information, or in some cases, it's sickening our bodies to get a further distance from Christ. So what I'm suggesting you do today is spend more time in the Word, spend more time praying, and seeking out people that can assist you with your needs. Because being, like I've said on the show before, being a Lone Ranger Christianity is the most dangerous thing to ever be. And I never recommend anyone to do that. And if you have a problem today, come reach out to us. We will pray with you. We will assist you with what you need as much as possible. And there will be more updates from us. God bless. We'll see you soon.